Back to school. I hear my friend the welcome tutorial showed you around and mesmerized you with a few cheap tricks. What a show-off! Note, well, now it's time to work. Learning Superalgos is quite an endeavor. Not because it's difficult, but because the system is vast, extremely flexible, and is built on a new paradigm that is not obvious in the beginning. But don't worry. If you pay attention and do all available tutorials, you will be able to tackle the learning curve like a champ. Still, be warned, most people do tutorials more than once. Let's start with the menu. The left-hand side of a node's menu is common to most nodes. The right-hand side, however, is specific to the type of node. Note, let's take a close look at the left-hand side. The design space functions under the paradigm of a self-organizing workspace in which nodes tend to find their place guided by certain arrangement properties that you may control from the node's menu. Click the Pin button on the top left corner of the Session Base Asset node. Now drag the node away and release it. Now drag and release any other node without pinning it. See the difference? Pinned nodes can't dance. When a node is pinned, it becomes fixed to a position regardless of the setting of the rest of the arrangement properties. You may pin a node, a structure of nodes, and even the complete hierarchy. Let's try something else. Pin the trading parameters node and drag it away. Notice how all offspring nodes follow the parent node. However, the session base asset node remains in position. Before we move on, unpin all nodes to keep the workspace in order. Merry-go-round. By default, nodes are locked to a rotational symmetry around their parent node. The symmetry may span 360 degrees or less, depending on the setting. When you click on the Angle to Parent Node button, you cycle among 5 different settings: 360, 180, 90, and 45 degrees, plus the option to disable the rotational symmetry. Take a quick look at the settings selected on each of the offspring of the Lightning Strike Backtesting Session node: Trading Parameters, Trading System Reference, and the Trading Engine Reference. They are all set to 180 degrees, right? 180 degrees. When all offspring nodes are set to 180 degrees angle, each node takes a slot in a fraction of a circumference spanning 180 degrees, normal to the parent. But what happens if one of the offspring nodes has a different angle to parent setting? Let's run an experiment. Click once on the Trading Parameters Angle to Parent setting and exit the menu. The node takes a slot at a smaller angle, 90 degrees. Do the same with the Trading System Reference and Trading Engine Reference nodes. Nodes independence. Notice how you changed the angle to parent setting on different siblings and each of them reacted to the new setting independently from the rest. You control the position of each node from within the node's menu. Not the parent node nor the siblings may affect the position, save for this cool exception. Go to the Lightning Strike Backtesting session and select Add Missing Children from the right-hand side of the menu. Tip: notice how the Social Bots node inherited the angle to parent setting from its closest sibling. Free-range nodes. When you select the option to cancel the angle to parent setting, the node is free to take any angle relative to its parent and siblings. Enter the menu of the Trading Parameters node, select the option to cancel the angle to parent setting, and move the node in any direction. Note, as you can see, the node stays where you leave it, and the dotted line connecting to its parent turns yellow. Notice that both the angle to the parent node and the distance become arbitrary. Controlling distances. The next option in the menu controls the distance from the node to its parent. Clicking on the button cycles through options. The distance from a node to its parent is set relative to the distance from the parent to its parent node. The available options are: pink, 0.25x, orange, 0.5x, green, 1x, blue, 1.5x, red, 2x. Let's say that you choose the green option. The distance from the node to its parent will be the same distance that separates the parent node from its parent. Play with the tape. Try the different distance settings of the Lightning Strike Trading System Reference node. Go ahead. Click the Tape button. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, what happens when the node you are adjusting has offspring of its own? Let's find out. Click the Distance to Parent button once on the Trading Parameters node. Note, because you increased the distance separating the Trading Parameters node from the Backtesting Session node, the offspring of the Trading Parameters node also increased proportionally. How about the hierarchy? The reason why the distance to the parent node is relative to the distance of the parent to its parent is so that you may affect the long structures of nodes. Click once on the Distance to Parent button of the Network node. Wow! See? These tools allow you full control over how you visually organize hierarchies. Tip: try canceling the Distance to Parent setting on the Testing Trading Tasks node. As you can see, you may set any arbitrary distance to the parent node, but the angle to the parent remains fixed. Arrangement style. The button cycles through several arrangement options that affect where a node is placed in relation to its parent. In the drawing, the orange dot represents the parent node, and the blue dots represent the node adopting this specific arrangement style. Concave, this is the default style. The node adopts a slot on a circumference around its parent node. Convex, the slot is on a convex curve. Vertical right, on a vertical line to the right. Vertical left, the slot is on a vertical line to the left. Horizontal bottom, on a horizontal line below. Horizontal top, the slot is on a horizontal line above. Shall we improve this? If you experiment with this feature, you will notice that the behavior of each of the settings is not clear or predictable. Important: the current implementation of this feature is not optimal, and the behavior of some of the options is hard to predict. If you are a developer, this may be a great opportunity to iterate on the existing code and take this feature to a more usable state. Feel free to try this feature, but you will most likely want to go back to the default setting. Freeze. The freeze button makes sense under very specific circumstances, when physics are activated at the level of the design space. The design space offers some customization features, one of which is activating the physics of the universe. When physics is on, the whole space becomes alive. Note, we won't go into that rabbit hole at this point as it's not in the basic education curriculum. The freeze option freezes the node's chain connections with its parent and offspring, and connecting lines turn blue. Freezing releases CPU resources when physics animations are on, as the system stops calculating nodes' positions and status. Let's talk backups. Backups are very powerful, and there are various use cases. When you click on the button, the node and its offspring are saved on a JSON file. You may want to back up a structure of nodes to safeguard your work or to keep a copy of the structure in its current state. Take a backup of the Lightning Strike trading system and check your Downloads folder. Note, the file is downloaded by the browser and stored in the default Downloads folder. If you take multiple backups of the same file, the browser renames the file with sequential numbers. Working with versions. Let's say you want to test a strategy with different sets of parameters, so you take a backup of the Trading Parameters node. Go ahead and take the backup. Now that you have a backup of all trading parameters, you may change any of them knowing that you can always go back to your backup. If you are on Chrome, the backup must be visible in the bottom left corner of the browser window. Now drag the backup file and drop it in the design space. That's how you restore a backup. Easy, right? In the next step, I'll show you how to get back to using the original version. Detaching and attaching. Now follow my lead. We are not really going to test the strategy with different parameters, we are just simulating a use case. Let's pretend we modified the trading parameters and now we want to go back to using the original ones. We already have the backup in the design space, detached from the hierarchy, and we need to replace the existing trading parameters node with the backup. Go to the trading parameters node that is currently in use, the one attached to the backtesting session node, and double-click the Detach Node button. The node separates from the hierarchy. You may now move it to the side. Attaching the backup. Now we need to attach the backup of the trading parameters node to the backtesting session. How do we do that? Right-click on the trading parameters node and pull it closer to the backtesting session node. Release when you see an orange ring surrounding the backtesting session node. That's it. The backup of the trading parameters node is restored and back in use. Notice that you may delete the second trading parameters node if you wish, or you can keep it on the side for later use. Irrelevant nodes. Nodes that are not attached to a hierarchy are not computed. They exist in the workspace, but they don't affect the workings of the system at any level. This means that you may keep as many structures of nodes detached from hierarchies, for as long as you wish, keeping them at hand for later use, or for whatever reason. Tip: a common scenario is keeping multiple versions of certain definitions while building strategies, so that you may test a set of rules and switch to other rules for the next run. You may even keep multiple versions of entire strategies. Nodes attaching rules. Click the Help button on the Trading Parameters node to access the node's docs page. I'm going to show you something. Scroll the page all the way to the bottom until you find the Trading Parameters Attaching Rules title. Each node may be attached to certain node types. These attaching rules are listed on the nodes page in the docs. Tip: when there are several nodes that may accept the connection, each candidate displays a gray ring indicating their readiness to take the attachment. Only the candidate closer to the node to be attached is highlighted in orange. Dealing with references. References are how a node may obtain information about another otherwise unrelated node. This is a crucial concept, so pay attention. Read this page carefully. If you are not a developer, you may want to read it twice until it sinks in. In brief, references have a direction, outgoing or incoming, and a scope, internal or external. Note, the later concept, the scope of a reference, is crucial to understand the differences between backups and clones. Let's see some references. Notice the two nodes under the backtesting session: Trading System Reference and Trading Engine Reference. Why do we need these nodes? The backtesting session needs to reference the trading system so that it may obtain the rules for trading. It must also reference the trading engine so that it may store information relative to the trading session. However, a node may establish only one outgoing reference. Note, that is why these nodes exist. They are an aid to the backtesting session node so that each of them may reference one node. Visualizing references. When you hover the mouse pointer over a node with an outgoing reference, the reference becomes visible. But there's also a way to make all references visible. Hit the following key combination: Ctrl plus Shift plus key R or CMD plus Shift plus key R on a Mac. Now you can see the references going out from both the Trading System Reference node and the Trading Engine Reference node. Tip: right-click to access the design space map and notice other references that may be visible. Establishing references. At some point, you will need to establish a reference, so let's do some basic training to develop the formidable skills required. Double-click the D-Link button on the menu of the Trading System Reference node. Note, you just broke the reference. But don't worry, we'll recreate it in the next steps. To establish a reference, follow the same process you used to attach a node. That is, right-click on the node where the reference will originate, drag it close to the node with which the reference will be established, and release the click once the orange ring shows up. Let's get on with it. What if the nodes are far away from each other, maybe even in different hierarchies? Watch the video to learn a few tricks. These UI tricks may make your life easier. Pin the node you are going to move across the design space so that it will stay where you drop it. Click the Save Node to be Moved button on the node you wish to move. Use the design space map to zoom out and click near the node to which you wish to travel. Click Snap Save Node to position and the node you saved will magically appear on top of the node you are at. Remove the pin once the reference is established so that the node goes back to its place. Is it done? If you haven't yet, go ahead and establish a reference from the trading system reference to the Lightning Strike trading system. You may find this technique to establish a reference to be a bit clumsy or impractical. The truth is it works well in some contexts, and not that great in others. The challenges to establishing references are: in a complex workspace, there may be hundreds of nodes that may be able to accept a reference. The reference must be established unequivocally from a specific node to another specific node. Tip: we'll try an alternative method in the next step. Let's try the easy way. There's an easier alternative, provided there are few nodes in the workspace that can accept the reference. Go to the Trading Engine reference node on the right and break the existing reference by double-clicking the delink button you used before. The Create Reference button opens up a list with all nodes present in the workspace that accept a reference from the current node. Let's try it. Click the Create Reference button and select the low-frequency node from the drop-down list. One last point. Pretty much like with node attaching rules, nodes that may establish references also have rules in that regard. Go to the Trading System Reference Node menu, click the Help button, and scroll to the bottom of the page. Note, developers may want to know that node attaching rules and node referencing rules are defined in the app.schema.json file in the schema folder of each project. The docs dynamically builds the bottom section of each docs node page with that info. Back to backups. Now that you understand references, we can go deeper into backups, and maybe even discuss the differences with clones. You've got some more reading to do. Please, read this page carefully and let the info sink in. In summary, outgoing references, they're always kept intact. Incoming references, they're kept only when the original structure is deleted before restoring the backup. Internal references, they remain internal, only when the original structure is deleted first. Hammering backups home. Let's go over the same examples that you just read about so that you learn this by heart. Take a backup of the lightning strike task and restore it without deleting the original task. Then repeat the operation but deleting the original task before restoring the backup. Verify that, in both cases, the outgoing references originating at the Trading System reference and the Trading Engine reference nodes are preserved. Tip: remember that outgoing references are always preserved. Back it up again. I told you I was going to hammer home this topic. Let's try the second example. Take a backup of the lightning strike trading system. Restore the backup without deleting the original. Then repeat the restore operation but deleting the original trading system first. Verify how the incoming references are preserved only in the second case. Tip: remember that, for incoming references to be preserved, you must delete the original structure of nodes before restoring the backup. One last backup. Let's try the third example. Notice the references flowing from polygon vertices to points under the chart points node. Take a backup of the shapes node and restore it on the side without deleting the original. Then repeat, but deleting the original before restoring the backup. Notice that in the first case, references point to the original points turning into external references. On the contrary, in the second case, references remain internal. Tip: remember that references remain internal only when you delete the original structure first. No need to memorize. I hope you got to grasp the intricacies of backups and how references are affected in each particular restoration case. You don't need to memorize the individual cases. Instead, if you understand the underlying mechanism involving references, then you may deduce the behavior in each case. Note: remember that each node has a specific ID. When a reference is established, both nodes involved have a unique ID. Outgoing references do not depend on the node's ID, but incoming references do. If the backed up node is restored with the same ID, incoming references will persist, otherwise, they will change or be lost. What about clones? Clones differ from backups in that the feature is designed to replicate data structures so that the copies resemble the original. Read this page carefully. In summary, clones behave in the same way whether the original is present upon restoration or not. Incoming references are always discarded. Tip: feel free to take the time to test the clones feature on your own. We'll move on to other topics without further ado. Only share shares. Shares are just like backups, but the resulting file is stripped of sensitive personal information. Get used to sharing shares. This good practice will help you avoid dangerous mistakes in the future. Read the page about shares for more info. Warning: whenever you wish to share your work, never share your workspace files or backups. Those files may contain sensitive information such as your Exchange account key. Instead, share your shares. Working with workspaces. You may think of a workspace as a stage in a theater. It is the setting on which something will play out. You may set up as many workspaces as you like, each of them for specific use cases. For example, You may have a workspace to build a trading system that will need specific indicators from a specific data mine. You may have another workspace set up with all the available indicators so that you may study how each of them works. Read this page to learn the basics about how to deal with workspaces. Your workspace versus plugins. Go to your File Explorer app and look for the following paths relative to the root Superalgos folder. /platform /my workspaces. This is where you will find the workspaces you may have saved earlier. If the folder is empty or doesn't exist, it means you haven't saved any workspaces yet. /plugins /project /workspaces. In this folder, you will find native workspaces shipping with Superalgos. You may want to read the Community Workspaces topic in the docs to learn what each of them is about. The current workspace. The current workspace is the user workspace or the native workspace you are using at any point. If you close and restart the app, or refresh the UI, the system loads the workspace that was last in use. Access the menu of the Workspace node, double-click on the Getting Started Tutorials label and change it to Basic Education. Now hit Ctrl+Shift+Alt+Key S. Tip: go to the platform/My Workspaces folder to verify the new file is there. Find it on the menu too. Let's talk plugins. Plugins are data structures that ship with the system and that you may call into any workspace using the plugins hierarchy. Plugins are data structures that are meant to be reused. That is why they ship as plugins, so that you may place them on any workspace. Expand the plugins node. As you can tell from the structure of the hierarchy, there are several types of plugins. They ship as JSON files, sorted by project and type in the plugins folder. Check it out. /plugins. How plugins work. Find the Plugin Trading Systems node inside the Algorithmic Trading project and expand it. Note the plugin file node named Masters Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike is the demo trading system you've been playing with during the welcome tutorial. It has been placed as a plugin in this workspace. Follow the orange dotted line downwards until you find the node it connects to. Use the keyboard trick Ctrl+ arrows to go faster. That's it. You found the Lightning Strike Trading System node. If you drag it to the side, you will find the Plugin File Position node below. Positioning plugins. Here's the crazy bit: the Plugin File Position node determines where in the workspace the plugin is placed. That is why you found the Trading System node on top of the Plugin File Position node. Tip: if you deleted the Trading System node, it will show up again the next time you reload the workspace. Plugins are loaded from the plugin file every time the workspace is loaded. Feel free to try it. If so you wish, you may delete the Trading System node and refresh the page. Bear in mind that you will need to find the Basic Education tutorial and click Resume on the menu to continue. Placing plugins. To place a plugin in a workspace, you must select the option to add the missing plugins on the node of the matching type. Let's give it a shot. Select Add Missing Trading Systems in the Plugin Trading Systems node. New plugin file nodes are created for every plugin in /plugins /algorithmic trading /trading systems. You may delete the plugin file nodes you don't need and keep the ones you want. Tip: plugins will be added the next time you load the workspace. If you wish to test it, refresh. Non-persistence of changes. Remember I said that the plugin file is loaded every time the workspace is loaded? This feature has an immediate consequence. Warning: hierarchies placed in the workspace as plugins do not save with the workspace by default. As a result, changes made in those hierarchies do not persist, unless you save them manually or enable automatic saving. There are two main use cases for modifying plugins. You wish to modify a plugin to make it your own and keep working with the modified version in the future. You wish to update and improve a plugin to contribute to the improvements to the project. Starting from a plugin. Let's look into the first scenario. A typical case is when you wish to introduce changes to a strategy shipping with the system to start with a proven setup. Let's say you wish to build a strategy. You want to start with an existing one and introduce modifications to understand how things work. You don't intend to contribute to the changes. You just wish to play with it and tune it to your liking. Then, do the following. Tip: delete the plugin file node of the trading system and restore the original plugin file, /plugins/algorithmic trading systems, as if it was a backup. Drag the file and drop it on the design space. The strategy now lives in the workspace and you may modify and save it. Improving a plugin. About the second scenario, let's say you are testing the EMA indicator, found a bug and know how to fix it. You intend to contribute to the fix so that everyone benefits from it. This indicator bot is part of the Sparta data mine, which is usually included as a plugin in some native workspaces. To modify the plugin from within the UI and save the changes, you have two options. Go to the corresponding plugin file in the plugins hierarchy and select Enable Saving with Workspace on the menu. Now the plugin file is updated every time you save the workspace to include the changes you may have introduced. Or use the Save Plugin File option to manually save the plugin file whenever you wish to. Let's talk exchanges. We all have our preferred exchanges. Let's talk a bit about how Superalgos deals with them and which ones you may use. Superalgos uses CCXT, an open-source library proposing a standard for exchange API comms. The system works with exchanges complying with the standards. List of exchanges pledging compliance with CCXT. Note, however, appearing in the list is not enough. Many exchanges don't really comply. As a result, there is an ongoing community effort to test exchanges and document which may be used with Superalgos and how. This is the topic in the docs covering the effort. Look at the TOC to find which exchanges have been tested and to which extent. Testing new exchanges. If you are a developer and your preferred exchange hasn't been tested, you may join the effort and help with testing. This topic in the docs explains how to debug the sensor bot to get it to fetch data from an exchange. If the exchange supports the basic features required by Superalgos, you should end up with a solution. Tip: sharing the solution with the community is a valuable contribution. Everyone that comes next may enjoy their favorite exchange too. Important: we highly recommend you complete your education on Superalgos doing all tutorials before you dive into setting up other exchanges. Clean workspace. Talking about tested exchanges and plugins, there is one native workspace you may use as a clean slate when designing new stuff. Note, it's the blank template native workspace. Once you finish your initial education by doing all existing tutorials, you will eventually be ready to start building your own trading system. This is the native workspace you may use for that purpose. Tip: it features a clean trading system right out of the box, the Install New Market tutorial, and the lineup of tested exchanges that you may use. Dealing with data. The data you download from exchanges and processes with indicators is available across the board, accessible from any workspace and strategy. Data is stored on disk under the /platform/my data storage folder and is organized by project, data mine, bot, and market. It doesn't matter what workspace you use to mine the data or process indicators. Note, all of the data is available to all workspaces, so that you may work with the same data sources irrespective of what you are doing. Tip: there is no built-in data management in the app. Use your file system instead. About other markets. You may work with any of the markets listed at the exchange. Take a look at the setup in the Exchange Markets node. I'm not going to explain how to set up new markets as the topic is covered in the Install a New Market tutorial in the Install a New Market tutorial native workspace. I just wanted to let you know that it's easy. Take a look at the menu of the BTC/USDT market. Notice the Install Market and Uninstall Market buttons. That's how you do it. Tip: I'll leave it at that and let you do the Install a New Market tutorial when the time is right. Building indicators. If you are a developer or have at least a basic understanding of JavaScript, you will be able to create your own indicators. This is a crucial feature of Superalgos, as trading intelligence can't emerge without the ability to analyze market data. Again, I'm not going to go through how to build indicators at this point, but I do wish to let you know that we've got you covered. There is a comprehensive series of video tutorials explaining the entire process. Take a quick look at this page in the docs. More indicators? Indicators are built by the community. Usually, a developer will build a few indicators he or she needs, and contribute them to the project in a new data mine. The Community Data Mines book is where you may find all existing data mines and their indicators. Each chapter in the book corresponds to a data mine. Scan the contents of each chapter to get an idea of what is available at this point. Tip: to use a data mine, you must include it in the workspace or as a plugin and install the market. All data tasks will be created automatically. Lost? Get an API map. Are you wondering how to get data from sources other than exchanges and CCXT? Messari? Twitter? We've got you covered. Superalgos enables you to fetch data from any API on the internet, and you don't need to code to do it. Instead, you may design an API map or use the one shipping with the system. Note: an API map is a set of definitions dictating how a bot can access a particular API and how to interpret the responses from the server. Dive into this section of the data mining topic when you are ready to explore the API landscape. How about strategies? The community may also contribute to trading systems. At this point, there are only a few, but we hope more will emerge soon. Search the docs for community trading systems. Strategies contributed by the community are fully documented so that you may use them for learning. Warning: remember that while trading systems shipping with Superalgos may be fully functional, they are made available for educational purposes only. You are fully responsible for how you use them. Trading is a risky business. Help us with a star. I hope you are enjoying this tutorial. Would you like to show your gratitude by giving a star to the Superalgos repo? Users who came before you put time and effort into crafting tutorials so that you may have a better experience. Giving a star to our repo is a nice way to say thanks. Stars improve the rankings on GitHub's search. The more stars, the easier it is for developers to find and ultimately contribute to Superalgos. Giving a star to the repo serves your own interests too. If you haven't yet, please go to our repository and click the star button on the top right corner. Here's a link for your convenience. Thank you. Your graduation. Congratulations! You've graduated from your basic education and are ready to move on to more advanced stuff. In the next tutorial, you are going to learn how to update your app, switch branches to test the version in the develop branch, a few tricks about the docs, and more. You'll also be able to submit a review about your experience with Superalgos up to this point. Tip: as you progress with Superalgos, you may need a refresher on the topics covered in this tutorial or the one before. That is a standard practice, so do come back until you learn all the tricks.